Hello everyone. Welcome to What If Deku Had Shukaku as a Quirk? This would be a very strange what if. Because, yes, Deku won't be technically quirkless, but it will be more of a... how would you say? Late bloomer, practically. Or, yes but no, it'll technically be a late bloomer for him to use, but it's morally on its own, due to it being sentient. And, technically two quirks, so... yeah, can't really... what do I mean by two quirks? Shukaku in his own right is gonna have his own abilities with Midoriya, but the second pair, I'm gonna tell you as the story progresses. Or even how he even gets the second quirk. We go to the beginning of, birth. Deku's eyes, unlike normal people, are unique, you would say. Deku would immediately show signs of a quirk manifesting. As soon as the, doctors try to hurt Deku, or, I'll say one of them, to make sure, the child is alive, they try to, poke the child. Deku was a very... not calm baby, but more of a... how would you say when the doctors try to touch Deku, they kind of lost a finger? Yeah, that's how I'm saying weird. Cause they didn't even get a chance to cut his, cord. So yeah. I mean, they had to cut it by having a person levitate with a levitating quirk, levitate Deku, and then kind of cut it, because Deku's, sentient quirk, or Shukaku, we all know it is, has to, when he feels threatened, it's baby Shukaku, so, yes. If he feels threatened, he will attack you, which, of course, being, cutting your cord is kind of, hurting, so, I mean, yeah. Shukaku kind of like, nah, bro, stay away from me, so, yeah. Kind of not transforming Deku entirely, but kind of just, sand appears out of nowhere. Or, technically from the ground. And, just kind of rips off the... like a mini sand coffin on the dude's finger. Crushing the dude's finger, so yeah. That's how it works. Yeah. Of course, after all that, they got everything situated. Deku's quirk is very aggressive. Very, very, very aggressive to begin with. Very aggressive. It doesn't like people. The only person it likes is its owner. And even that technically wants to take a, kind of like, not like Dark Shadow. Like, I mean, it's like Dark Shadow, but when it gets out of control, we all see Naruto and, the exams. I don't need to say any less or any more about that. So, bring it to Dark Shadow's, over control when he loses control, but put that on, like, a radioactive bomb scale. Well, yeah. Deku, he wouldn't have a very bad life, but at the same time, he wouldn't have a good one either. What do I mean by this? I mean, Deku, this story kind of... Deku hides his emotions, mostly. He has the Gaara-esque... not Gaara, but kind of a mixture between... a very sneaky-esque aggressive person. Like, kind of... okay, so it's gonna be like Gaara, but a little changed, and just have a mask over it with happiness. So yeah, kind of masking the person's true intentions, or Deku's true, emotions. So yeah. Deku, growing up, people would be scared of his quirk. Due to, quirk on sight, he's not able to control his quirk. due to his quirk attacking anyone in the flippin' 5 feet radius. So yeah, or 10 feet radius of him. Besides his mother, because I mean, that's technically the person who bred him life. So Shukaku, he doesn't mind mother because mother gives him food. So yeah. Yeah. Also, Hisashi, he would be a hero. If you know where I'm going with this, it fits very well with, what I'm about to do. So, Deku's father's a hero. Inko has the sand-based quirk. But her sand-based quirk is a bit different because they both had sand quirks. But the difference was that Inko's sand quirk was more of a not paranormal, but possession. And it was a weird type of possession, like not the type of possession you usually see, like, taking over the body. More of a possession that kind of protects an object, if you will. Which in this case, Inko's body is the object and it's being protected in this case. If you know where I'm going with this, she can also technically transfer her quirk, or practically transfer her quirk, as I said before. But that's where more of lines of Deku's Shukaku comes from. Shukaku's ability is able to absorb other sand users' ability. No other users, he's not all for one. I mean, technically, but he's more of all for one against sand user abilities. So, you know where I'm going with this. They hate their dad, but, in secret, because, I'm not gonna lie, him and Endeavor are, very good friends. His dad, Endeavor are very good friends. Which, if you know what this is leading on to, Deku's gonna go through hell. Not just that, but Deku's gonna be outcasted from his quirk due to, his quirk being a very aggressive. And kind of like a Dobby 2.0, but increase the insanity by 20, 10% maybe. So yeah. Deku will be very unhinged at points, but would be able to take orders though, very directly. So yeah. Yeah. Shukaku don't like his father, but he knows he has to, he's his follower. He can't really, decline his, authority. Unless, Deku says otherwise. Which Deku doesn't know, he's kind of scared of using his ability, so he doesn't use his ability. More of the way is kind of like it just happens. Like, how Gaara's backstory was. It kind of just happens. So he can lose control at, random moments. And the difference between this sentient quirk, Shukaku, is that it can actually take over the user's body. Which Deku would be given, the Shukaku eyes. Which would be, to people would be very uneasy. Because his eyes will have no glow. It will just be slim, you would say. So there would be, the time when, Deku's 5. Yes, he, it's kind of there, but it's kind of like a late bloomer at the same time. Kind of like it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but we all know Bakugo is about to get his butt whooped. So yeah, we go to when Deku's 5. That scene, we all know that scene by now. That, Deku tries to save, the dude with the weak quirk. Bakugo and his lackeys are trying to bully him. Yeah, it's gonna go very differently. Deku, how would I say, like Gaara, Shukaku does manipulate him and doesn't allow him to sleep at all. So kind of like a Aizawa, but his eyelids, black eyelids, are natural. But besides that, that's all. Those only features he's taking from like Gaara, though. The eyes, and not technically the eyes, but the eyes are technically from Shukaku. But the markings, the bags on his eyes are from Gaara or Black Island. I don't know what it is, but it's something. Yeah. Deku, he's able to see things weirdly. Like, he can see things slow down almost, but it's kind of like a slow perception, where how, he has an enhanced, he has a lot of enhanced things to him. Enhanced strength, enhanced reflexes. Think of, an animal. Their instincts, kind of. So Deku, his instincts are very much increased a lot. So increased, senses. Not like a spider sense, but technically yes. More of a, if it's in your direction, or in you're in general area, it'll be set off. So a bit stronger than the danger sense, but just more spread out towards an area. So yeah. Anyways, we go to with Deku 5. So yeah, 5-year-old Deku. Deku trying to be the hero he is. Deku's a very, he's already had enough trauma as it is due to his father trying to train him to become better than All Might. And, since, Endeavor's, number 2 hero, Deku he does harsher training than Dabi and Todoroki combined. Have that and then times it by like 3. So Deku's always tired, he's always having tattering clothing, and he's always, injured. So Deku would kind of try his best to hold on and wake up, because he knows if he falls asleep, Shukaku would take over, or he would feel this sinister aura trying to arriving from him when he faints, or anything. So he wouldn't be able to sleep at all. He'll be awake 24/7 to like flipping the day he flipping sleeps. So yeah, he hasn't slept not once. And what would happen is that when Bakugo tries to hit Deku, this would be Shukaku protecting his host, which will end up, crushing Bakugo's arm, and then, grabbing the other 2 lackeys and crushing their bodies. Not killing them, but putting them both in critical condition. And then, of course, ending up with Bakugo in critical condition. After, Shukaku had his fun with, Bakugo, slamming him, multiple times. So, yeah. Eventually, people will be called, as, they will, people will argue, you need to have, kid under control. As they then explain Deku's quirk, it's a sentient quirk. The power isn't, Deku's, it's more, Deku kind of takes the power from his sentient quirk. Instead of like Dark Shadows, how he has his abilities and able to use Dark Shadow as well. It's more of a symbiote almost, but different. So yeah, so if Deku dies, he dies. So yeah, there is no after you die, I just return into chakra modes. No, if he dies, he dies. Like he gonna die. So yeah, he die. So yeah. Deku, he's very, during that conversation, the entire meeting, he would have a very stoned face. Like a very calm face. And he would be very, unique with his quirk. Or technically Shukaku, but him himself, he'd be forced to use it which will, leave him more tired but unable to sleep by his father, which he would have very, great, very good, as a child, control over his quirk. But, if anyone else besides him, his mother and, his father try to enter that vicinity of, 5 feet, Shukaku will, attack them. And, they say, who's Shukaku? As, that, a voice would pipe up, I'm Shukaku. As, Deku's face would, turn halfway into Shukaku, as, they would then see the evidence that, Deku has a sentient quirk. And Deku would, proceed to cry. As, his father would be irritated and, try to have Deku control Shukaku, or more of lines, let Shukaku free and, rampage and whatnot. So kind of having Deku both ways, having Deku go on both ways. As this will be the time where, Deku gets pushed too far and will eventually click or flick that switch. Which inevitably, leads to a big fight between him and his father. And then mother joining in. I'll say, they're in some type of a, Dago Beach, they're there. I'll say, every day taking it way too far. He kind of actually this time tries to kill Deku. Or, kind of, have fear into Deku. Which eventually, Shukaku, Deku, like, assault mode. As Deku, in his own voice, he would say, "Enough," in like a S forte, in an S forte, which would kind of leave his father scared and terrified. Same with his mother. Enough. I am done being your pawn, father. As he will proceed to do Sand Coffin. But if you know the video game that Sand Temple, yeah. At this young age, this man was about to one shot his father. His father ain't coming back. No matter what hyper regeneration you have, you ain't about to come back from this. Which will lead on to Deku's inevitable, losing control of his quirk, or Shukaku. Shukaku would eventually, with that instance of anger, Shukaku will be let free. And, if he's gonna, if he's given the chance, he'll take it. So Shukaku does, buff out and, kind of attack the city, destroying everything. You all will pay. You all will pay. As from the hatred Deku has gained over the years, he has hated humankind. Or, people in general with quirks, because people with quirks are douchebags. So, yeah. That'd be the only thing that, Shukaku and, Deku would actually agree on 100%. They both hate, quirked people. Or people that kind of see themselves as higher than others. Which are practically 100% of, the quirk population. As now we go to when Deku's about 10. That happened when Deku was 5 exactly. I'll say it happened on the same day when, Deku was fighting Bakugo. And I'll say it happened twice. Yeah. Deku's not 10. After having multiple heroes kind of take Deku down, because, if Shukaku, he's sand, and he's able to separate himself to not get hit. At least, of course, if you use him properly. which Garo technically did nothing with, even though he's flipping made out of sand. But I mean, yeah. All Might tried to punch him, went straight through him. Midnight didn't do shiz. People had, multiple heroes had to come to the, area until, All Might was like, okay, that's it, 100% smash, taking down Shukaku. I'll say the only reason All Might actually won was because, he's technically not even, it's technically Shukaku taking over, not, Deku, or practically Deku. Because Shukaku's more of an animal, so he attacks, rapidly and whatnot, but his, attacks aren't planned. So people are very easily able to kind of, figure out things and, how to trap him. And eventually, that's what, All Might did, kind of knocked him out. And we lead to Deku when Deku is 10. People are very terrified of Deku because it was like a worldwide thing, or not worldwide, but a Japan-wise thing, kind of like the Nine Tails attack. So like everyone around Japan knows about. Oh yeah, this dude's Quirk malfunctioned, which was not malfunction, was just a father going way too hard on his son. For a couple years, the son's rage kind of, eventually eclipsed itself and, trying to kill the father. Which, the second time, the mother actually, the first time, the mother tried to help, Deku, which ended up in her death as, when Deku, when Deku fell back, he fell back and kind of crushed Inko. Because, midway he's transforming, back, but he still crushed Inko. Which kind of had him believe that, he was responsible for his mother's death, but at the same time, his father was responsible and the heroes were responsible for, her death. And, eventually that's where her Quirk came in, which kind of, gave Deku that, sentient armor. Which leads on to Deku's second quirk, being, the armor Gaara had. Which, if we all know, if you're any distance, it kind of block you off, or, protect you, which this will be, Deku's ability to kind of, guide his way to, use Shukaku's power without, Shukaku taking control of him, or, kind of Deku losing control. So yeah. So anyone, multiple people did try to attack Deku. Just normal, civilians, normal people, heroes, even villains, try to attack Deku, every day. So UA did have to the father gonna have to take custody because mother dead. Which Deku was just like, bruh. Bruh. I tried to kill this man. What good mindset do you have to be to say he, has privilege over me? I literally tried to kill him. Do you not think this will happen again? As no. 5 more years later, same thing happens. But Deku's even stronger. Deku eventually does, make it. This time, Deku's voice, his mother's voice screaming out to him, as kind of like a one-for-all thing, so, that's where Deku gets that fetish of, I must feed mother, and, whatnot, that weird fetish, I guess. So, yeah. Or not weird fetish, but kind of like, see a part of the sand, like his mother, since his mother kind of turned into sand and kind of, used her quirk. It was like a once, she technically had 2 points of her quirk. Her first point was like normal sand, able to manipulate it to a 6%. Her second part of her quirk was able to kind of, as I said, have a host. As she chose Deku as her host, and eventually permanently making herself sand. So yeah. Hisashi's like 100 times more worse. Abusing Deku, hitting Deku, training Deku, just all that like abuse. Deku broke again, which eventually kind of led to All Might, eventually, knocking the kid out. But instead of, this time instead of knocking him out, Deku heard the voice of his mother as, Deku started to calm down. As you know. Yeah. As Deku would be a very feared kid in his class and, in general of, Japan. Very, very feared. Knowing that, people do pick on him. A lot. People still do pick on him. Which I don't know why they would. Even if this man can just blink them and they'll be crushed by sand. But I mean, stupid kids do stupid things. So I mean, yeah. Including, Bakugo. He's gonna get his, taste of sand later. When they're in, high school, middle school. High school, college, doesn't matter. Whatever y'all prefer, just write down in the comments. High school, college, doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah. Deku would be... He would eventually meet Todoroki, because I'll say Hisashi is, he do got that money on him. Like, the Mamo Yairozu's and Todoroki's. Which he would eventually, meet Todoroki, which Todoroki and him wouldn't get along at first. Due to the, the power difference, rumors and whatnot. But eventually, they would become decent friends. More of a... How would you say? Kankuro-esque way? Kind of like brothers, but not brothers. So, kind of like a Kankuro, the puppet dude. So, yeah. Todoroki has seen Deku's powers, and he sees it's terrifying when he does use it. He does know that Deku is also unhinged, and if anything, he don't take stuff from anyone. He does know if what that one thing that may happen, that one death that may happen, it can easily flick that switch permanently, or just flick that switch temporarily and just immediately just go on a rampage on everyone. So yeah. So yeah. Next thing what would happen is that I'm pretty sure they would get along. Eventually Momo does try to talk to Deku, but Deku he ain't about talking to people. The only reason him and Todoroki got along is because they were forced to work together. Since the strongest, technically what they saw as the strongest, versus the most uncontrolled Quirk. Which even Todoroki at a point did say that if him and Midoriya did try to fight, Midoriya would win. Even if he went all out using his other side. So yeah. Yeah, so what may we eat now, Izuku? Do we have some ice cream? Some crunchies? What do we have? We got some juice, snacks, chips. Food. Let's get some food. As you know, him and Izuku, they would have a communication thing, but it's more of a Shukaku being aggressive and, at least if he's stuck in, he's stuck inside of Deku due to Deku's mentality, and, Deku is, strong-willed. And technically, yeah, a lot of things will happen. So, yeah. As Deku, he would be attacked every day about like random people, especially from how many people he killed in like the first and second attack. So yeah. Eventually, UA did start to question, or Nezu did start to question why this keeps on happening, which Hisashi being alive still, and Inko being dead, kind of way. So yeah. The thing was, when Deku turned 15, he had a transfer, or when Deku turned 10, or when Deku turned 13, he had a transfer schools. And eventually, when Deku turned 15, he kind of met back up with Bakugo. Him and Bakugo, went to the same kindergarten, whatnot. All the way up to 5th and 6th. No, all the way to like 3rd and like 4th. All the other times where, went to the rookie. As he had to transfer back to another school for reasons. Because let's say, he got closer to, Deku's, Hisashi's job. As Hisashi would, he would be very shady. And I'll tell you all that later. What would happen is simple. The day came where we all know what day this is too. Where Bakugo Katsuki told Deku to go kill himself practically. Yeah. Not gonna lie, Deku did take, the chance. But failed. And eventually became a very shy person. But, eventually did, kind of run away from home after faking his own death. So, yeah. And he did learn how to control Shukaku. It's just more of a mental thing. So, he is a good person now. Shukaku is a good person, and he is chillaxed. It's just, the power he does come with it. You do need a lot of, mental, mentality. Mental blockage to kind of actually use the abilities without, losing control. So, Deku, he kind of lost that entire, emo aura. Still has it, but, it's kind of just hidden away. Mostly. And, he does transfer... he does, change somewhat of his name. And, he kind of, when he went to a new school, the actual his quirk is, he just called his quirk Sandstorm. So, yeah. Or desert for, short. And what would happen to, everything about, the sludge villain? A lot of that would have been different from reasoning is that the end of when Deku becomes, that fateful day, Deku does run away, but before he runs away, he kind of, activates his ability, which, yes, Sandstorm is ability of his, but it's more of a side thing, since it's not the strongest thing, so, while, Deku or Bakugo's, being attacked by the sludge villain, which, he, did attempt, the action of suicide. after All Might, after he met All Might, All Might said no. Because All Might said, you're too unhinged, kid. Like, he didn't say no, you can't become a hero, but he said no, you can't become a hero because you're too unhinged. Like, you need to control that power, and from what I can see, you never are. It happened, it happened 2 times, kid. You're never gonna be able to control your own power. As, they kind of, attempted him to, do, the action. But, faking his death. Why? 1, he don't gotta flip and talk to his father. 2nd, he can just be on his own and have no one be scared of him. Have a new name, have everything, so yeah. So, before he did leave, though, he used his ability Sandstorm to kind of blind the Sledge Villain to, give, All Might enough time to kind of, recharge. And, Flash Ultra, Detroit Smash! To the Sledge Villain. No one knows where the Sandstorm came from. All people saw was, like, gray, tan sand. Like, it was, like, miles long. So no one was able to see who casted it or, whose Quirk it was. It just happened, kind of disappeared after, All Might gained his strength. Which, Deku does know All Might's Skull Might form. Yeah, Shukaku was actually surprised. He was like, wow. He's like me, but without, the permanent, buff form. From what I can see, it's some type of transformation enhancement quirk. So yeah. They do depend on, what his quirk is, but after that, they kind of, skedaddle together. So, Shukaku is technically a part of Deku, so yeah. Deku does train with Shukaku every day, giving him a dramatic control over Shukaku. Yeah, Shukaku is, his still animal-like state, but, Deku, with enough, bargaining, is able to calm Shukaku down. So Shukaku's like that uncle, that a very aggressive uncle, but you got him, you can kind of, calm him down using, like, snacks and whatnot. Or, like, get out of trouble using snacks. And, like, okay, if you don't hit me, I'll give you a bag of chips, Coca-Cola, give you a Pepsi, get you some Mountain Dew, get you some ice cream, how about it? Kind of like that, uncle, so yeah. That uncle you can bribe into, like, not whooping your butt, so yeah. Or just that one person that, kind of, got your back. Just, you just give them food and they got you back forever, so yeah. So, Deku, being the name of, Shukaku Beast, or, Shukaku Tail, would, be his alias. And he would change his hair a little bit, because I'll say before he had, I'll say before everything, he had normal, white hair, I'll say he had white hair before. And, after everything, he kind of changed his hair to green. Or he was a blonde before, yeah, I'll say he's a blonde. He kind of, changed his hair color to, green. To kind of, not represent his father. He also wears contacts to hide, his Shukaku eyes. So, yeah. Kind of like a Venom-esque Eddie Brock way, where, he kind of, convinces, Venom to kind of calm down using food. So, yeah, not exactly like that, so yeah. As the day comes, as the, 10 months, Deku would start training Shukaku like crazy. Like, he would be able to use, like, I'll say 20 to 10% of Shukaku's power. I'll say like 30% of Shukaku's power. About 30%. Either 20 or 30% of, Shukaku's power. which is like, I guess, a portion of a tail. Like, not even half a tail. So, yeah. You know, this sand aura would, kind of go on Deku as, he, goes into these stages. 30% of, Shukaku would practically be able to take down a lot of people. And I'm not even mentioning his berserker state either. So, yeah. So, what would happen now is when the 10 months are over, yes, Deku would still be going to UA, but would visit Seketsu for a short time to see, what they got. He would say they don't really have, they have decent people, but they don't have, the training he's looking for. So he goes to, UA for, second, and, entrance exam, does phenomenal. Of course, he probably gets, like, the 6th in the class. And Deku does sound a lot more cheery to his tone, instead of always being mopey and sad and, crying or anger. So he's cheery. When he opens the door of Class 1A, he does see Bakugo, but says nothing to him. We go a flashback to when Deku versus the Zero Pointer. When I mean the Zero Pointer was covered in, like... It was weird, because the ability Deku used on the Zero Pointer wasn't Sand Coffin. It was Metal Sand. So, not gonna lie, how he made Metal Sand was kind of, rip off... Shukaku kind of, ripped off a portion of, the Zero Pointer, chunk of the Zero Pointer, kind of, bashed it up, one of those bowls, mashing bowls, kind of used it, kind of, packed it, all that metal into, sand, and eventually used that sand to, destroy the robot itself. So kind of using itself to destroy itself, so yeah. Either that, or he would just kind of use, Sand Coffin on, one of its foots and, domino effect, fall on, backwards, just practically. Yeah. But for best effect, I'll say when Deku tried to use his, Sand Coffin on the foot, instead of going backwards, it went forwards, about to crush them both. And so, Deku was like, okay, I gotta deal with this quick. I'm pretty sure I don't have enough strength to lift up this entire robot. But I'm pretty sure I can get out of here while saving the girl. So what he does is, he destroys the rubble, or kind of tosses it at the robot, picks up Araka, yeets her, and then kind of not does a Rimuru, but kind of does a complete Sand Coffin. As he kind of used his own body as, kind of using his, shell, his, sand shell on his skin, or, whatever, that second shell or whatever that Gara had, kind of, spread it out, Deku floating. Zero Pointer does, sand burial. Deku falls, or Araka catches him, and that's practically what happened. Sand burial. Sand coffin. So yeah. And how does he keep on getting sand? He uses his shell, his sand shell. And how did he, lose control over Shukaku? And how, he actually got enough sand to actually form Shukaku? Was from Dagobah Beach and, the underwater sand, so. The second time was, also on the same beach, so yeah. Or on a different beach. Deku, he doesn't really have a weakness, but what can slow him down and that can kind of, stop some of his abilities is water. Not defeat him, but kind of prevent him from using attacks. Kind of like a leech. They're annoying, they absorb your health, but eventually, they do get in the way. As we go back to Deku opening up, the UA door, seeing Bakugo very infuriated how a bully that told him to go kill himself practically is in UA, or a person so mean that's like this is in UA, or even made it to UA, which he is angered a lot by. But he doesn't even look in he doesn't even look in his direction. He kind of just walks, goes to a seat, or picks a random seat. He sees, Todoroki's there. He's like, I bet. I guess this isn't going to be a bad school year. He sits next to Todoroki. Todoroki doesn't know, Deku, Todoroki's too, he got the scar now, so yeah. Kind of in that emo phase. Kind of giving Deku that look because he doesn't know Deku's, Deku. Say no, Deku, to, prove his worth, Deku kind of does like a sand, like a little sand soldier on, Todoroki's desk. Todoroki's confused and then realizes, oh snap, you're a Zuku. And then, when Todoroki tries to look at Deku, Deku's like, shh. My old friend. It's okay. I'm here. I never really died, but okay. So, yeah. As it's our, Quirk examination, walking or running, Deku would get, kind of just run. Especially from, he does have to, he does have to, run with, the sand armor that he has on his skin. Like Gar, so he does have, he does have a lot of weight on him. So in general, he is faster than normal people. And even with, even with the armor on, he is still pretty fast. So I'll say he's, I guess faster than, in between, Bakugo and Todoroki, but a bit ahead of him. So I say, if Deku's able to win the speed race, I'll say he'd be able to, beat them in the examination. So what he uses, he kind of, uses his sand, kind of like a catapult, uses sand, goes back, and just flings himself to the, finish line. Or kind of just getting him into the air, eventually, using the sand to kind of, shoot him more in the direction of, the, end, so yeah. He gets number 1. Grip competition gets number 1. Jump. He would get. He has sand, but that one really be. He would get number 1 in jumping. Stamina. I feel like that. Yeah, I'll say he does have more stamina. Now, that'd be between him and Todoroki, because, Todoroki does use his eyes a lot, and that kind of, blocks your breathing. So I'll say Todoroki and him have decent amount of stamina, but I'll say due to Deku having sand, literal sand on his skin, every day, and he walks with it and runs with it, I'm pretty sure he'll have a lot more stamina than Todoroki. And he did combine, so yeah. So he is, in general stats, he's not the fastest, but at the same time, Deku, you're giving Deku space, which Deku, he's not, he knows in long ranges he can do that with space, but if he doesn't have space, he's trying to, narrow it down to, when in your close quarters, you're able to use your abilities without destroying the environment. So, yeah. So he would get either second place or first place. As you know, you forgot the ball throw. Yes, I actually almost did. The ball throw would be more of a toss if you think about it. Because think about it. Look what's on the screen on the left screen. I know. Top left screen. Yeah, a BG bomb. You know where I'm going with this. These things can shoot to the moon. Yes, Deku's getting infinite. So, yeah. Deku gets infinite like Uraka. Uraka's surprised, but at the same time, she's like, it is what it is. Yeah. But they are, I'll say they do realize that Deku does have, similarities between the kid that, kind of died a couple years back. Because let's say, when Deku entered the, UA, Deku was, I'll say, when it happened, it was 15. So Deku would be about to make it more sense, I'll say it happened at 20. So UA would be a college. Deku would be 20 right now. So that happened 5 years ago, I believe. Deku 50. Yeah, happened 5 years ago. So Deku would get infinite. Uraka would be surprised as same as everyone. As now we go on to the heroes versus villains, as that is where I'm going to end this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment.